Hello everyone, I'm Fahrun Novrian. I'm a lecturer in the Faculty of Economics and Business, Department of Economics, Universitas Pembangunan Nasional Veteran Jakarta. Welcome again to our podcast program in the Ruang Podcast FEB UPN Veteran Jakarta. Together with me now we have a professor from France, Professor Patrick Dieuaide. Please, Professor, you can introduce yourself.
Yes. Just 2 words before, because I would like to say that I am very happy to be here in Indonesia at the University of Pembangunan. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I would like to thank especially Dr. Jan and Dean of the Department of Economics and Professor Fashru.
Yeah.
Novrian.
I'm not professor yet.
For lecturer or for professor tomorrow.
Okay,
for inviting me to participate in this very rich and stimulating program. So I'm very happy to be with you and to discuss the economic problem today about the digitalization and so on. We have a rich conversation between us about this. So some words about me, if you want.
Yes.
But
please.
I am an associate professor in economic sciences at the University of Sorbonne Nouvelle, and I am member of the Research Center of Integration and Cooperation in European Space.
Okay.
And my research topics are the economic policy of the European Union, and today, because I have more topics before, today I have a research about digital platform, digitalization economic, and cognitive capitalism, which is a research about the critiques of the capitalism is an instability and the crisis. But the term crisis is in debate. Voilà. So, thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That is Professor Patrick, everyone, from Sorbonne Nouvelle University, a very famous university in France and also in Europe. And we are very honored, Professor, to have you in our university to discuss many things with us since several days ago. And how do you feel about how do you feel right now, Professor? Are you happy in Indonesia?
In Indonesia, yes. It's very it's very interesting, and I appreciate the climate, the confidence, the students too. I never forget the student, because the university is always building about them,
okay.
And it's really important to have a student and I am really surprised to the good relation between them and with the activity and the development of the situation, the climate. It's very interesting to. It's not necessarily the same in France, for example.
Yeah.
For example, it's the collective movement or the solidarity is not the same. It's quite different. Now we feel a real welfare. I don't know if the term. Yes. I am very happy to be here in
Indonesia.
And discovered the university of in Indonesia.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Prof. And how about the food? Do you like the food?
The food is different.
It's different.
Sometimes I appreciate, but it's not the same. I don't know the taste.
The taste.
The taste is not the same. I have some difficulty sometimes to the dessert. For example, the dessert is difficult for me. I don't appreciate. I can't appreciate sometimes, but in general it's okay. No problem. But I like the fish and chicken, rice, and not spinach, but it's like the spinach. The soup.
The soup.
But the condition that it's not spicy.
Not spicy. Okay.
Not spicy, because if it's spicy, I am completely mal à l'aise. Not ill, but I am bizarre.
Okay. Thank you,
It's
Prof.
very hot.
It's very hot. Yeah.
Yes.
So we will discuss some important issues today right now, Prof. So you know that we have so many issues in economy right now in the world. For example, post-pandemic COVID-19, and then we also have war in Russia and Ukraine, and it is quite difficult to explain what really happens now. So there are many approaches to explain what really happens now. One of the approach is the theory of capitalism. How important is do you think the theory of capitalism right now?
Yes, it's a really question. It's a very important question today. But before we distinguish geopolitical and economic aspect of the world. Now, geopolitical and economic are linked very. So, for example, we have known crisis 2008 and pandemic and Ukrainian war. So you have different dimension of the shock systemic, which are geopolitical and economic at the same time. So it's obviously it's a reason why it's important to understand the dynamics of the capitalism. If I have some words about this question, I say that two reasons is for me very important for understand two explanation, two difference. It's necessary to develop. First of all, is to speak of capitalism is to establish an important distinction between the notion of market economy. We must distinguish capitalism and the market. It's not the same thing.
Okay. Interesting.
If you have read some historian, Fernand Braudel, for example, said that the capitalism plays against the market. It's quietly different with Fernand Braudel. It's always twists the role of the game on its advantage. Capitalism, it's a power. But it should be pointed out that for Fernand Braudel, capitalism is defined in a particular way, if you want. It is a financial capitalism that is constantly look for investment opportunity in the most profitable sector. So for Fernand Braudel, it's very important to consider the capitalism as money in circulation. Systematically, we have capitalism is synonymous of circulation, money with circulation, and it's important for today because Fernand Braudel allows us to understand the importance of finance in the emergence of the new sector, such as the digital sector, for example. Braudel and I agree with him, does not oppose finance and industry. There is no opposition between the first and the second. Capital circulates between sectors, and this allows us to understand certain evolution of the system of accumulation. So it's always in circulation, and sometimes money invest in one sector or another, but it's the first important for to distinguish, and it's not a problem of market. It's not a question. It's a question of power.
Okay.
I am in the situation sector, agriculture, industry, or so on, and it's the power. And the power maybe is often play against the rule of the market. It's always accumulation is always against the market. It's not the same thing to consider market and after enterprise and the accumulation and so on. No, now the power of the money, of the capital, is first before the market. It creates the market. Digital platforms are not an actor on the market, they create the market. It's quite different and today is a really necessity to distinguish capitalism and market. Private property is first before money, market and money and commodities, if you want. So this is the first reason. The second reason is a theory of capitalism for me is necessarily a multidisciplinary theory. A theory must combine sociology, history, law, and so on. This is important because it must allow us to consider the existence of a lasting difference in the growth trajectories of different countries. So if you have some theory tool to organize the conceptualization of the dynamics, you have a possibility to understand the diversity of the capitalism. So the multidisciplinary theory is necessary, is a necessity. And this means that what can I do? Can I say about this other your question? This there is we realize that there is no inevitable convergence between national economy, for example, like with the market. If you discuss with a market and from at the base of the analysis, you are always, sometimes, but quasi always, to imagine there is a convergence between national economy or area economic. No. Once again, if you consider capitalism independent from the market, so there is an anarchy in the development. So you can have one one period a dominant economy, and after one another, and so on. And that's why I consider it's important to distinguish this aspect, capitalism and market. So, so I stopped it because it's finished.
No, it's not finished yet. Okay, but thank you, Professor. It's very interesting, and your explanation makes strong the distinction between capitalism and market. That is very important now, and we need that approach now to explain strange economic changes that we experience now. And but I still have other questions, Prof. In fact, I have other two questions. So by using that approach, can tip decrease what type of crisis that that we really have now? Can you explain a little bit?
Yes, it's really important. That I think that the situation, the world economy, must be put into context. It's really specific context today, exceptional, I think, because since 2008 we have experienced two systemic shocks. 2008 crisis, and the COVID pandemic.
It started from the United States, right?
But after with a large influence on the world economy. Yes. Idem. The same thing is for pandemic. Is global phenomenon, and the Ukrainian war is a third shock systemic, and we have
and before that we have Asian crisis, right, in 1997.
1997.
Yeah, we have Asian crisis.
Wait, yes. Wait, but since 2000, since 2010, 2005, we have really free shock systemic, and it's really specific. I think, and we have the free shocks, and at the same time we have new revolution of technology, numeric digitalization, which is which remote back. If you look back, we have a new economy in the 19, and after we have the platform in 2005 or 6, I think. So we are. I think if you consider this event, it's no longer possible to speak of a crisis. It's no longer to speak a crisis. This term implies that there is a reversal from a situation of expansion to a situation of recession. Or if you look the cycles, the cycles have not disappeared necessarily, but their amplitude and the length are very at change. So you have a big cycle with a bottom and a top and bottom, which are really developed grant with a gap, important gap. So it's not for me. It's a symptom of a mutation. The capitalism, not a crisis. A crisis is a temporary phenomenon. Mutation, it's a phenomenon of transformation on the long term, and we have it's and in perspective, long-term perspective, I think we have many appellation of capitalism: capitalism of platform, capitalism, financial capitalism, capitalism surveillance. I don't know the term, and so on. We have many green capitalism, digital capitalism, and so on and so on. So it's a symbol of the transformation, mutation of the capitalism. I think the situation is completely transformed. We have a new model, I think, a new model of production, but not necessarily the disparition of the capitalism. Okay. And the regulation theory, for example, don't have the conceptualization for the appellation. So voilà. So I stop because I am thinking I know time to pursue my answer.
I would like to assure what really happens now. So it's not a crisis, but it's transformation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
It's a very interesting conception, Prof. Because we believe that what happens now is crisis, but now we have other explanation that explain that what really happens now is transformation. Mm-hmm. Okay, and this is my last question. What about what its relevance to France and Indonesia?
La France. That France in the we must situate France in this context that I described, like many other European Union countries, France have the same problem that other countries of the Union European. On one hand, France has suffered from desindustrialization for many years. Sometimes because there is a multinational firm which deslocalize with transport sites of production in Indonesia, I think, or in East Asia, and ASEAN, yes. Its trade balance is structurally is deficit. Idem, and secondly, the pandemic has resulted in a large public debt. I developed with Emmanuel Macron. Emmanuel Macron had not decided to climb the debt, but he was constrained to develop help. Public dispense for social or health and so on, and but now the politics is different. The public policy is quite different. But at the period of the so the consequence is the state is no sufficient means, financial means to investing in the digital transition and in the ecological transition. The pandemic have create a situation very complicated for the state because of the debt, because of the deficit, budgetary deficit. So here there is an impasse. There is an impossibility to return and to develop a voluntarist politics. So it continues is neoliberalism with more flexibility, more fiscal policy in favor of enterprise and so on. The paradigm neoliberal continue, but it continue, but on the base the situation had completely changed. So I think it's really a problem for the regulation of the system economic France, and we have a politic which is not adapted to the new situation. You really, I think it's the end of the neoliberalism at the ideological level. No, but at efficiency, but the tool with the program is over. I think it's finished. But there is always problem to regulate, to develop a project. If you consider the according to the transition ecologique, for example, social inequality, poverty in France, we have 14 million people above, just on the side, the level of poverty. It's really
14 million people.
14, yes.
Yes, wow.
Yes, in a large chance. Yes. It's very dramatic situation in France. And donc, I think that the solution for France and for many countries is, I think, maybe if the Union is to move toward a federal Europe, more integrated political point of view, for having a new public policy which will be more large, more equal in front of the situation, and with more financial capacity to intervene. But I know, I dream. But we must have an object. We must argument a solution, because at the national level, we are no sufficient force, financial force, social force too, because people are not very engaged, implicated. So. My question is, first is who, how.
Okay.
Is the situation really not clear in France, but in the other country of the Union too.
Okay. Yeah. And in what do you think in Asian countries like the one in Indonesia?
So,
what do you think the situation? Do you think
what is the Indonesian? The situation when I arrived in Indonesia, I was very impressed by the puissance. In Jakarta, maybe I don't know in the rural area, but in Jakarta we have the impression that the enormous activity, and it's I think it's potential capacity to have for having a takeoff and to pursue the development. Maybe there is some a lot of project to develop. I don't know, public service, health, education, but climate too, because I read in the newspaper that the capital, Jakarta, with the capital, how do you say, the first political town,
the capital,
go towards
Other island?
Voilà, so it's a big project, enormous. I think, well, it's, but I think you have a geopolitical. It's delicate, very difficult for Indonesia between China and United States.
Geopolitical.
Geopolitical. Plus volcano.
Yeah.
And the geo.
You know, we just have G20, Prof.
Sorry.
Yeah. We have our great international event. We just have.
Yeah.
We just had great international event G20 in Bali.
Yeah.
Do you aware about that? Yeah, I suppose.
I don't have a lot of information about G20. I just read, and I'm sorry, but I just read that Indonesian have benefited 20 billion dollars for the ecological transition. I think it's a great consideration from the 19 other countries for Indonesian, and there is a preoccupation to have I think in geopolitical.
If I may question, from your perspective, from the perspective of if I may say France, European country. How important is G20 now that we have this year?
I don't know exactly what happened in the G20 because Emmanuel Macron, when he speak about this event, speak about him. He speak about interior problem, national problem. The answer to some aspect. So it's really difficult about pensions, for example, but it's really gross difficult to discuss and to debate in France because we have always this kind of circulation of information, but it's not a debate. It's not really. So G20 is really so G20, but is placed in situation of competition with Sharm el-Sheikh, with the green event in Egypt, where we speak. So you have many information at Sharm el-Sheikh. Nothing. There is nothing fundamental. Development is not the financial funds are not discussed, and in G20 Putin was not here, and there is a discussion between Biden and Xi Jinping, but it's not multilateralism. It's just an opportunity to have a contact. Not really. I didn't believe. I don't believe this kind of reunion because it's not a multilateralism situation. Yes, political. In a political point of view, it's not multilateralism. It's face to face.
Face to face.
It's a relation face to face.
Okay.
That's all. Voilà, c'est un peu ça.
Okay, you have mentioned about industrialization in France, Prof. The industrialization, and we also have the same problem in Indonesia. Industrialization, we also have the same problem, the industrialization. And what do you think that maybe I just I'm thinking if maybe we can have collaboration between in our university to propose or to promote industrialization in the research area, perhaps. So maybe you have any words about collaboration between our university, Prof, and I think that is my last question.
Collaboration between France and Indonesia.
Yeah. Collaboration between our university.
As a level of the university.
At the level of university,
yes. Yes, but it's all is possible. There is no problem. Never is possible. It's impossible. But we must find a common point, which is which are mutual gain. I think industrial policy, for example, in European we have an experience at the national level and the Union European. It's possible to discuss this regulations, in form of the regulation. For example, in France we have pôle de compétitivité. It's a district which combine small enterprise and big firm, university, and they develop some projects between them. So is it a good model for you? For example, we can discuss have a research about this. What's the specificity for you if we adapt this tool, and so on. So we have a possibility to regard and to imagine if is it possible to import some practice, or on the contrary, if is it not very interesting to imitate this one with this one practice. You see what I mean?
Okay.
So we have a learning between these two experience, national experience, or yes, between these two dimensions, it's possible to have, and after it's possible to have for having a discussion on the situation of geopolitical capitalism, with capitalism, because platform, because accumulation, because financial dynamics are connected by the network, by the always relation, social, monetary, and so on. Yes, it's possible to have a reflection of this kind of project or research. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I hope it will be clear.
Thank you very much, Professor Patrick Dieuaide from Université Sorbonne Nouvelle, Paris. Paris, France. So I have to close our session, and then
once again thank you to Dr. Fachot and Dr. Fachot and Dr. Jan.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. See you. Bye bye for now.
It was a great pleasure.